This yours?
Yeah, but it's one of the students. You guys can get those. Good morning. I'm Commissioner Christian Leinbach, and I want to welcome you to our Commissioners Board meeting for July the 30th. We are obviously in person. We're also broadcasting on Microsoft Teams Town Hall and also on BCTV. We'll begin the meeting with a moment of silence followed by a pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'll recognize my executive assistant, Veronica Lepore, to read the public comment notice.
Good morning. Thank you. Public comment will be accepted in person and through the Q&A function. Please include your first name, last name, and municipality for all comments. Any comments without name and municipality will not be considered. Each citizen can submit one comment. Comment length is dictated by limitations of the platform being used, Teams Q&A. In-person comments will be accepted first, followed by comments submitted virtually. The meeting comment period is limited to a total of 30 minutes, including both in-person and virtual comments. This time period may be extended at the discretion of the board. Please be concise. Comments that are germane to county business will be read during the meeting and should not be considered to be interactive dialogue with the commissioners. The county solicitor shall be the final arbiter of whether a comment is germane and should be read. Any commissioner response to public comment will be done at the discretion of the commissioners.
Thank you very much, Veronica. Are there any additions or corrections for the July 23rd meeting minutes? Hearing none, the minutes will stand approved as presented. We did have an executive session on July the 29th dealing with personnel and litigation. Do we have any public comments on agenda items in person? And there's nothing online. So we will move into our agenda. We're going to begin. We have two presentations at the beginning of our agenda. The first one is a continuation of the celebration of America 250. And the celebration is focused on the Declaration of Independence, which was authored a little over 250 years ago. We've had a number of different events. One of those events started early this year, and it was through the support and actually an idea of Todd and Penny Hummel from the Hamburg area. Unfortunately, they're away and couldn't join us. And they worked in conjunction with our Berks County Library System, specifically Christy Brown. And the contest was called Youth Voices of Independence. And today we're going to celebrate the contest winners, 5 different winners. What we're going to do, we'll recognize each of you individually as I call your name. If you would come up individually over here to in front of the podium, where each of us would like to shake your hand. Our public relations officer will get a picture with each of you, but then just step off to the side. We'll do each one individually. And then Jonathan, we're going to take a picture with the commissioners and all the winners, but we have a lot of family here. So then we're going to do one last picture with all of the family. And we're doing it now, so you don't have to wait till the end of the meeting. The second presentation is probably a presentation. It's a very different presentation on human trafficking, and you may not want to stick around for that. But we'll talk about that more when we get to that, because it is vitally important. And it's something Berks County takes very, very seriously. So without further ado, celebrating our America 250 Youth Voices of Independence contest winners. Our first winner is Leah Patricola. Her category was art, and she's entering 7th grade at the Burnville Community Library. Come on up. Oh, okay. She entered it there. Let's grab one of your cards. Stand in front of here, otherwise it'll be completely blocked right here. And we have $100 gift card for each winner. So now you stand in the middle. There we go. And then if you just want to stand up to the side. The next winner is Aubrey Moyer. Her category was video. And again, entering, when you say entering the 9th grade Muhlenberg, and it was through the Muhlenberg Community Library.
Yeah, I don't know.
Got it. Okay. Stand in the middle. Okay. Our third winner is Eleanor Eberly. Her category was written words, entering 9th grade, and this was through the Schuylkill Valley Community Library. I just keep moving over further and further. Our next winner is Jack McRae. His category was written words. He graduated this spring, and this was through the Sinking Spring Public Library. And our final winner, and I should have asked how to say this, so I'm going to guess, Elizabeth Boten or Botang. Her mother is attending in her place. Her category was art, and she is entering her freshman year of college, and we just found out she's up at Penn State University. And this was through the Reading Public Library, the Northeast branch. Let's have all the winners come on in. Winners, get right in here, close to each other, like your best friends forever. You can stay behind. There we go.
If anybody wants to come up closer, you can.
Yep.
Some of the family members. Yeah.
Okay, family members, come on up, and what we'll have each of you do is step forward, and then we'll fill in, because some of your family members are a little shorter. Some are taller. Let's slide over this way, and we'll slide over here.
Is this out of the way?
Here, come in.
Good. Over here, we got room.
Yeah, just make sure you can see the camera. If you can't see the camera, it can't see you.
It is. All right.
All right, again, congratulations. And just so you know, the $100 gift cards were donated personally by each of the commissioners. So no tax dollars involved. So again, it's up to you if you want to stay. You don't need to stay. It's your call. Yep, congratulations. Very proud of you. Our next presentation is in honor of World Day Against Human Trafficking, which is today. And we have Melinda Clark here from North Star Initiative. She is going to give an anti-human trafficking presentation. And then after her, we also have Meg McCullum, Assistant District Attorney, and she is going to briefly discuss the Berks County Human Trafficking Task Force. I want to make one comment before Melinda comes. Veronica and I had the opportunity earlier this year to attend a human trafficking summit in Lancaster County. And one of the things I found out is when you look at data relative to arrests and the like, Lancaster and Berks County pop up to the top. And that has created some criticism, but that criticism comes out of ignorance. It's that way because the two counties that probably do more than any other county to go after human trafficking are Berks and Lancaster County. And I also want to recognize, I see our district attorney, John Adams. This wouldn't happen without John's commitment to this effort. So without any additional comment, I want to recognize Melinda Clark, North Star Initiative.
Good morning. It's an honor to be with you, commissioners, and with the audience. And I am grateful for the opportunity to share with you on what is a hard topic, but one that I experience a great deal of hope about because of exactly what Mr. Leinbach said, that we are making progress. And we are making progress specifically because of the collaboration that we have here, not only with the district attorney's office and Meg McCollum as the assistant district attorney, but the agencies that make up the Berks County Human Trafficking Task Force. I want to acknowledge my colleague Brad Ortenzi and invite him to step up and join me as we're going to share parts of this presentation. And the part of the reason that Berks and Lancaster are experiencing such incredible forward momentum against the crime of human trafficking is because Brad, with a background in law enforcement and now serving in a human services agency, serves as coordinator for the human trafficking task forces in both counties, which is also an incredible power move across these highway connections because we are aligning forces so that someone can't say, well, I'll get out of Lancaster and go to Berks, or I'll get out of Berks and go to Lancaster, because we're getting on the same page about the fact that we intend this to end. And we work together both to end trafficking. I believe that is not an inevitable crime that should continue to happen, and we should sit in despair. We are capable of being a community that is trafficking proof and see an end to trafficking as we also empower survivors to reclaim their lives. You can click through to the next slide. We are representing Zoe International, as I said, is an international anti-trafficking organization that specifically focuses on not only coordinating efforts like the ones you see with the task forces, but specifically on rescuing children and preventing crimes against children in the arena of human trafficking. Next slide. I have the privilege of serving North Star Initiative, which was the first anti-trafficking nonprofit in Lancaster County and also in Berks County, which was formerly free. And we had the privilege to bring the two organizations together 2 years ago, again, really to put all of our efforts into the work as one shared mission. And we specifically serve survivors through residential services in homes, providing emergency shelter access, restoration programming, and then long-term transitional housing, where we have a home here in Berks County where we care for survivors. Next slide. Thank you. Missy's doing a great job of serving us. I think we are all aware that trafficking is the crime of buying and selling women, men, and children to generate a profit off their bodies through the crime of illicit commercial sex. I specifically in this presentation, as we continue to educate our community, want to address what we have experienced as the most common misunderstandings and misconceptions around what the issue of trafficking is. I often encounter people who believe that sex trafficking or human trafficking, which also includes labor trafficking, many people believe it only happens in other countries or only happens at a border. As you already heard from the commissioner, it is an issue that we see actively happening in Berks County and in Lancaster County. It can happen to anyone in any town. As you'll hear shortly, it really is a scenario where someone's vulnerability encounters a criminal looking for an opportunity who exploits that vulnerability to generate a profit. So not only does it happen here domestically, it is a crime that we are combating here in Berks County. We often also face the misconception that traffickers will always snatch their victims by force. Literally heard this from my chiropractor this morning. Oh, I warned my girls about the white van. Here is what you need to know. It is likely not going to be a white van. The least likely thing that's going to happen is that it'll be a white van. What is actually happening and happening predominantly two major ways that trafficking is happening in Berks County is through online social media targeting of vulnerable youth and young adults, especially, where traffickers present themselves as someone who is there to satisfy basic human needs, whether it's connection, adventure, employment, or love. One survivor leader said, "We do not talk enough about how the need for love is a vulnerability that traffickers exploit regularly." And educating youth about the dangers of online engagement, not just about the predator danger, but specifically how traffickers are looking for victims, is a critical opportunity and a need right here in Berks County. We also often conceive of traffickers as being strangers. And while that can be the case, it is much more likely that the trafficker is known to the victim, either as a family member, a trusted caregiver, a peer, where a peer is recruiting other peers into a trafficking ring for status or personal gain, or a romantic partner. And many of the victims that we have encountered specifically in Berks through stings believed that the person that they thought was their partner or their husband was actually exploiting them to generate a profit. So as we talk today about becoming a world that stands together against trafficking, the first thing I would want you to know, particularly in your spheres of influence, is that trafficking may not be what you think or imagine. And instead, this is how we're seeing it in Berks County. If I can have the next slides, I'm going to move through these pretty quickly. I know we are tight on time. I address the vulnerable, and you can keep clicking, Missy, so that you can see anyone can be a victim of human trafficking or be targeted by a trafficker. And if you click one more time for me, Missy, what we see is that these are populations that are disproportionately affected, disproportionately targeted and represented as victims. You will see that populations of minors, neighbors of the LGBTQIA+ community, those who are unhoused, migrants, refugees, persons of color, people with disabilities are disproportionately targeted by traffickers and become victims of criminals. The reason are the factors that you would imagine, factors that I know you're already addressing in your community, but where there is a gap in care, where a single mom cannot make rent, she is vulnerable to somebody who says, I have a solution to your financial need. You don't want to be homeless. If you work for me, then you don't have to be homeless and I'll take care of you. Where vulnerabilities exist, There is a criminal looking to exploit that vulnerability. And as a community, our great opportunity is to continue to put great energy into closing the vulnerability gaps that are in our community, as well as educating our neighbors about how that exploitation can turn into a situation that is far greater than they ever expected or imagined it would be. We have spoken to many victims who thought, I'm just going to do this once. I just need enough to make my rent this month. And it turned into a situation that they found themselves unable to get out of. Missy, if you can click for me one more time. I think that many of you have seen the headlines I'm about to share. Really grateful again for the work of the task force and the partnership that's coming out of the district attorney's office. These are recent headlines that of efforts happening in Berks County. And the first reason that I want to highlight the leadership of these students who partnered directly with Zoe International to raise awareness on human trafficking in conjunction with the Berks County Community Foundation is that youth are leading the way, in part because youth understand that this is one of the most critical threats to their generation. The need to have awareness for youth around what trafficking is one of the greatest public health risks that Berks County is facing, and is almost simply, it is a simple solution of education and awareness that we just have to keep beating the drum until everyone in the community understands what trafficking is, how it happens, and what we can do to prevent it to keep youth safe. And youth are leading the way as they did with this awareness event. If you can click again, Misty, for us. You also will have seen headlines about law enforcement partnerships that you're going to hear about from Brad right now, where they are targeting areas where they know that traffickers are working, specifically focusing on illicit massage businesses that are often a cover for trafficking rings and trafficking campaigns. And one more click, Missy. You will also have seen the statistic that Commissioner Leinbach just referenced, is that Berks is near the top in Pennsylvania for human trafficking charges. That is actually a good thing, because this is the community who cares to hold evildoers accountable and is interested in putting the resources in, many in the law enforcement agency volunteering their time to be on the task force to bring justice against the criminals and justice for the victims. And then that's when you see the numbers start to rise. Is there a problem with trafficking in Berks? Yes. There is also a problem with trafficking in other counties that are not addressing it with the intentionality and effort that Berks is putting into it. And so I am grateful to every person in this room who's ever been part of supporting the initiative. And I know that's often come from the commissioner's offices to say, we need to do something to make this end. And making it end means the numbers of arrests are going to rise, because we are finding and holding accountable the perpetrators. And my huge thanks to Meg McCollum specifically for the way that she leads in this way, in a way that is really a pattern and a model for the entire state. So with that, if you can click one more time, Missy, I'm going to hand it over to Brad, who is going to tell you more about how the task force responds.
Thank you, Melinda. As Melinda said, I'm the task force coordinator for Berks and Lancaster County. It's been a privilege to, under the leadership of District Attorney Adams and Meg McCollum. I do this work in 2 counties, so I sometimes can do a comparison, but so I can say just the leadership coming from this county has been undaunted. So I just want to share just really briefly about how is the task force responding. So obviously our task force is in 3 sections: prosecution and law enforcement, self-explanatory, victim services. Part of what my job is to, again, I'm retired law enforcement, so I kind of understand exactly what's going on with the stings and what law enforcement's doing. But also I work with Zoe International now for 12 years, and we are basically restorative and preventative in that sense. So I can kind of bring these two together. Because I'm retired, I'm have a good relationship with law enforcement. They understand me, I understand what they're doing. So it's a really good combined effort here in Berks County. So the victim services, again, are just bringing on collaborative organizations, agencies, and nonprofits together. So when we find someone that has been trafficked, what can we do to set up their restorative part? And then community outreach. We do a ton of these type of presentations. I remember, I don't have the exact stat last year, but between Berks and Lancaster County, both myself and Melinda from North Star, we probably did 65 of these last year. So we're constantly speaking, constantly banging this drum. Next slide, please. So law enforcement operations. We're doing details, a number of different details where we're answering the ads that are out there. Once those ads are answered, interact with law enforcement, and then Zoe has advocates, trained advocates that are come in relation with them to see if we can try and pull them out of the situation they're in. John details, cracking down on the demand for online sex here in Berks County. Minor details within law enforcement's activity, looking for men specifically that are looking for minors for sex acts. Surveillance details and obviously cases reported to the task force following up on that as well. Next slide. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, yes. So if we look at human trafficking, I once heard Desmond Tutu give this, not heard him, but actually read about him giving this example. If we are a task force at the bank of a river, and every time we see someone trafficked, they're coming down the river and we're swimming out, we're getting them and pulling them in. That's a great thing, great noble work. And that's what the task force does do. But wisdom dictates, let's figure out how they're getting into the water in the first place. Because we know, especially in the trenches of human trafficking, once someone is trafficked, it's a ton of work to get them out. And the stats aren't great for how they're going to do later in life, but we do everything we can for them. So what we've done here in Berks County is, and again, this is the great part of having a task force that's run by the district attorney's office. District attorney's office has the influence and power to connect the task force with all the agencies in the county. Children and youth, juvenile probation, adult probation, all those counties, Child Alliance. So now what we do is if there's a child that is flagging high for vulnerability for human trafficking over a number of things, we get the call and we can put a mentor in that child's life. And what our Zoe mentors are is, again, it's not a caseworker, it's a cared, trained individual in their life to insulate their life. They do the goal settings, but really it's, let's talk about how you got in this situation to be in the first place. Let's say you have a young girl that has been sending some explicit pictures to older guys. That's a flag. Let's talk about that. And let's kind of work through this process. It's been very successful in a lot of ways, both in Berks and Lancaster County. Another thing we're doing is working on programs where we're going to start meeting with shelters and having once a month or two times a month, basically our advocates and mentors go in there and teach the children about this is positive body image. This is really what it is getting around the kids, doing crafts. And during that time, they're talking about how to keep themselves safe and in essence, teaching them about sexual exploitation. Next slide. Yeah, go ahead.
If you can take us to the next slide, Missy, I referenced this already, but the ways that, and this is what Brad was sharing, that the work that their advocates do in prevention is critical because we would all rather be on the other side where the restorative work is needed less and less because we have connected to the vulnerable ones to keep them safe, and that's everyone's heart. If you can go to the next slide, Missy, the ways that North Star is able, and one more click, not only to, and you can keep clicking till the slide is full. One of the ways that North Star is able not only to support the task force, but really to invest in survivors. I mentioned our residential programs. We have 2 homes, one in Lancaster, one in Berks County, and across both homes, we run 3 programs, an emergency shelter. It is a standalone 1-bedroom apartment where we take referrals from law enforcement agencies for a woman in a critical situation, looking for an opportunity to get out of that situation and would do so if she had a place to go. And we get to say, you could come there immediately and you will not only be safe, but you'll have people to care for you and help you get to where you need to be. We're currently housing a guest that was a referral from Department of Homeland Security, who's a material witness in one of the HSI investigations. We also are operating a long-term restoration program, a 12 to 15-month healing program for survivors that focuses both on reclaiming what they lost in the experience of exploitation and investing in their lives the things that they never had because they were exploited, so that they are better positioned to thrive as contributing, loved, welcomed, engaged members of the community. And we also have a transitional home here in Berks where we are supporting women who are vulnerable for exploitation or re-exploitation. They're survivors who have completed a program or they're stable enough to live independently, but still in need of safe, sober, affordable housing with enough supports and frameworks that are therapeutic to make her long-term freedom sustainable, where she just needs some extra touch points. And as we've talked with community stakeholders here in Berks about the needs and where we can best fill gaps, that's definitely what rose to the top for the home that we are able to offer the community here in Berks. So our privilege is not only in being able to come along the task force, but walking daily, one of the only agencies across a multi-county area that works with survivors face-to-face 24/7 and ensuring that they are safe and stable and loved and know their worth, that they are able, and that they, as one just said to me this week, she grew up hearing that she would end up nowhere but dead or in jail because she was such a problem child. And it wasn't until she came into a restoration program at North Star that she began to think of what her future could be, because she never imagined she had one. And today she's enrolled in RAC, working on a degree to become a human services worker, wants to be a social worker, working with vulnerable youth so that they don't get to the place where she ended up because of her own vulnerabilities. And that's what we get to invest in as we partner with community partners here. On our last slide, one more time, Missy, thank you. On our one more. Last slide, you'll see our contact information. We want you to reach out to Brad or I for anything that you need. Detective Kevin Quinter is listed because he's just a key partner in this work and been critical in many of the stings. I've ridden along with Kevin to go pick up a survivor who was in need of immediate care. And it's just a privilege not only to do this work, but to be with you and have the time today. Thank you for being the kind of people who care about an issue like this and are willing to put your time and energy and thought to learn more.
Thank you very much. This time recognize Meg McCullum.
Else in the room. Thank you for having us. Recognize my boss sitting in the back watching me talk, for allowing us to have this task force. Thanking Brad and Melinda for partnering with us. We've had our trafficking task force, I think at least 6-ish years. And COVID hit and we spun our wheels and we didn't really know where to go from there. We fortunately had some county detectives, retired detective Jimmy Gresh, as well as now Chief Steve Brock and Detective Quinter, who were very involved with this and wanted to do these things. Fortunately, Brad came and fell at our door and asked us to partner with him. And so what we were missing, and which was spoken about today, is the victim services. We have a task force which is run through the district attorney's office. And yes, we arrest people who are trafficking, who are buyers of these horrible services that are out there. But what we really need are those victim services and those places where we can place those men, women, and children who are survivors and victims of this horrible crime. And so that's a gap that Brad has been able to fill and has been able to bring us with partner agencies, including North Star, to meet those needs. To steal from Brad, empowered youth are less likely to become involved in this. And as you heard through the services of North Star, very much the goal is to empower the men, women, and children who are survivors of this horrible crime to be empowered so that they can leave this life finally. I believe what the latest statistics are that it takes about 7 times before a trafficking victim finally leaves, similar to what we have for domestic violence. And so, not to belabor, because I do only have a short period of time here, is we do have a trafficking task force. I want everyone to know that. Please go out and tell your friends, family, loved ones, anybody that you possibly can, that we are out here, that we are a service, we are a resource to not only intervene if you believe someone in your life is being trafficked or is involved or might be vulnerable to being trafficked. We are here to help with that. We are also, as Brad said, they've done 65 presentations in the last year, some of which I have been involved in. Getting this issue out to the community because a lot of people don't believe that it's happening here. It's happening here in Berks County, Lancaster County, every county that we have. It is big, big business. Sex sells. And we do stings consistently where we are purporting to be a worker and the phones don't stop. We have people coming the second that the ad hits the website. And so I think the most important thing, again, is knowing that we are out there, telling your friends and family, loved ones, even your children. I know this is an uncomfortable topic. We don't want to talk about sex and things like that to our children, but we really have to, so that they are aware for themselves, so that they are aware for their friends, so that if they hear or see something, they can come to a guardian or caregiver, somebody that they, a trusted adult, so that that intervention can happen, so the cycle isn't perpetuated. We do have our law enforcement task force members, our lieutenant from our vice side, Nelson Ortiz, and Sergeant George Taveras are involved in this, but Detective Sergeant Quinner from Why I'm Missing is an integral part of this. He's probably been doing this longer than those. And we have members of our task force from many, I'd say at least 15 plus of our local police departments, especially those who are on the highway corridors, who are involved in our task force. So again, thank you for bringing attention to this problem, allowing us to educate you about what is happening out there, the fact that we do have a task force. And if anyone needs any resources, please don't hesitate to reach out to any one of us. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Meg. This is a critical issue. I just want to touch on three quick things. One, for me, I'm going to say maybe 8 years ago, I was at a NACO conference in DC, and the speaker was a gentleman from the Department of Homeland Security and the Blue Campaign, which I had never heard of. And he asked, what people thought of what is human trafficking. And at that point in time, in my mind, it was overwhelmingly something that happened with getting people across the border, making deals, and that does happen. But then to hear him say two things: one, overwhelmingly human trafficking is not at that level. It is in your community, in every one of your communities, and it's often family. Then he said something else, and I'm not going to give the details, but I shared this down at the round table. He shared a specific case involving an older man from Bucks County and a farm family from Lancaster County that was in financial trouble and sold their daughter. That hit me like a ton of bricks. Earlier this year, when Veronica and I sat in the round table, we listened to real stories, some stories of individuals sitting there, some of others who they knew. This is a real issue. It is a tragedy, but more importantly, we can do something about it, and we are doing. And when I say we, not me, our district attorney and Meg and Melinda and Brad. And we need to support it. And here's my last item. Karen Shuey, I'm so glad you're here. One of the most reliable news reporters we have, but anyone listening from the media, I'm asking you to cover this. Don't worry about us. Cover this from the standpoint of what Berks County and Lancaster County are doing. cover it from the North Star Initiative and Zoe, and get the information out there into the community so that people that are in trouble or know people that are in trouble know where to go. I'm sure, John, you would agree that if somebody just doesn't know, call the district attorney's office. Get help because the help is here. This is not about, and this is one of the other things I learned, this is not about punishing victims. This is about getting to the perpetrators, the people that are making money off of victims and are destroying the lives of children, of teenagers, of adults. Adults who peers, you mentioned the peer issue. The stories that I've heard on peers, they think they're their friend and all of a sudden they get them trapped and they don't know how to get out. The media can help us get the word out. It's important. I don't know if my colleagues have anything to share.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for coming and bringing the information. It was about maybe 3-4 years ago. You held a dinner here at the DoubleTree. The speaker there, great speaker, told her story about what had happened. And I think one of the most important things we can get out of this is that this doesn't happen, always like you mentioned, by people who come and grab someone and snatch them away. But unfortunately, many times it's by family members and neighbors. And in this case, the lady that spoke, it was her neighbor that befriended her, knew about what she was going through, knew about what the family needs were at, and came as the person that the knight in shining armor who said, I can help you out. I can help you with your problems. And that's how she ended up in the situation that she did. She went through her story, great story. And she's out there sharing her story and bringing that to light. And also had the opportunity when you opened the house here in Berks County, I had the opportunity to go through that and learn what you do there and how you help the people that are there. So thank you for the work that you do. Want to open it up. I have a radio show I do here twice a month in one of the Spanish radio stations. I'd like to have someone, I don't know if you have someone there that talks Spanish. You talk Spanish? Okay, great. So I'd like to have you there. It's a half-an-hour show we do. We record it virtually, but it's a way of getting out the information here to the Spanish-speaking community as well. So I'd like to connect with you on that.
Just to add a word of thanks to all of you, Melinda, Brad, Meg, our district attorney, for your advocacy. I think it's important. I think most people do believe that it can't happen here. It's one of those issues that, well, that doesn't happen to us, but it does. And as I said, your advocacy and your highlight of this issue keeps that word out. And hopefully we can do everything that we can. The press can report it as well and keep this issue in the forefront. It's really important. And thank you again for your presentation.
With that, we'll continue. We have a relatively short agenda. Item 1, authorizing under that budget, adopt a resolution authorizing the 2026 budget transfers in the amount of $736,383 and 2026 appropriations in the amount of $1,730,611 per listing dated July 24th of 26. Several items listed under the commissioners. Item A, adopt a resolution authorizing the chair and Amber Colombo, Director of Workforce Development, to execute the separation of duties worksheet for Labor and Industries annual monitoring. Item B, adopt a resolution authorizing the chair to execute the Seawell agreement between the County of Berks, Natalie Lauren Ham, an employee of Berks County Children and Youth Services, and the University of Pittsburgh of the Commonwealth System of Higher Education to participate in a graduate level social work program as outlined in Title 4B, Part 1 of the Commonwealth's Child and Family Services Plan. Item C, adopt a resolution authorizing a letter of support for Goggleworks Center for the Arts application for funding from the Department of Community and Economic Development Multimodal Transportation Fund Program. Item D, adopt a resolution authorizing Timothy Smith, Chief Information Officer, to execute and submit a renewal replacement order form to Fiber Assist Company LLC, doing business as Zayo, for the purpose of increasing the county's internet bandwidth. And the language that was given to me by Cody, is that what I should read for the added resolution? Okay. We are adding a resolution, and what we need is a motion first to add this because it did not get in before the 24-hour deadline. The reason we're adding it is the individual sheriff deputy that is named here is retiring tomorrow. And so we really wanted to get this taken care of today. So this would be item E, adopt a resolution authorizing Mandy P. Miller, sheriff, to execute the K-9 retirement and transfer of ownership agreement, recognizing the retirement of K-9 Collie from, and that is a K-9 dog, from active service, and transferring ownership of K-9 Collie to Deputy Sheriff Alicia Matson for the sum of $1 effective July 31st of 2026. And again, a motion to add to the agenda.
So moved.
Second?
The motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion is carried. It is part of the agenda. Item 2, a motion to authorize the execution of contract agreements and amendments as set forth on the contract agenda listing dated July the 27th of 2026. There are 16 contracts, 1 with the Berks, 7 jointly with Children and Youth Services and Juvenile Probation, 1 with Court Administration, 1 with the Department of Ag, 4 with Facilities and Operations, 1 with Information Systems, and 1 with Juvenile Probation. And item 3, a motion to authorize the execution of payments and electronic transfers for the week ending July 31st of 2026.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion is carried. We'll move now to reports of our treasurer and controller. We'll begin with our treasurer, Mitch Darcourt. Mitch.
Thank you, Commissioner. Today, we have an opening balance of $287,316,880.41. We have a balance to clear of $6,692,432.47, leaving us with a balance of $280,624,447.94. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And moving to the controller's office report, in for our controller, we have Thomas Bellick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the week ending July 31st, 2026, we have an accounts payable total of $6,959,614.91. We have an employee payroll of $5,830,428.22 for a total cash disbursement of $12,790,043.13.
Thank you very much, Thomas. We'll move now to the report of our Chief Operations Officer, Kevin Barnhart.
Thank you, Commissioner Leinbach. Our team has nothing to offer at the present time. Thank you.
Thank you. We will move now to Commissioner's comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm first, right? Yep. Just a couple of quick things. I want to commend, we had 2 presentations. I want to commend the young people that came in that did the essays and congratulate them. And also, as we said, for the human trafficking. There is an event occurring in about 10 minutes out in front of the services center. It's called the Berks County's Red Sand Project, and it's through our DA office and the Children's Alliance Center with regards to focusing on World Day Against Trafficking in Persons. There's going to be some speakers outside, and I'm just going to read real quick what it entitles. The Red Sand Project uses sidewalk spaces to create opportunities for people to question, connect, and act against vulnerabilities that can lead to human trafficking. The sand-filled cracks are a visual metaphor representing the millions of marginalized people who fall through the cracks and become vulnerable to traffickers. So I look forward to that in just a few minutes. I'm going to skip that. The last thing I want to talk about is there seems to be some confusion, misconception as to what we did last week at one of our, we passed a resolution with regards to Albright College. And I just want to read that again and highlight what we did. We adopted a resolution that approved the financing by the Berks County Municipal Authority of a project for the benefit of Albright College, declaring that it is desirable for the health, safety, and welfare of the people in the area served by Albright College for the authority to participate in the financing of the project, authorizing the approval of the project for federal internal revenue code purposes, and authorizing other necessary and appropriate action. The approval granted hereby shall not in any way pledge or obligate the credit or taxing power of the county. The approval granted hereby shall not in any way pledge or obligate the credit or taxing power of the county, nor shall the county be liable for the payment of the principal of premium, if any, or interest on the bonds to be issued by the authority to finance the project. It is something that we have to do by federal code, Federal Internal Revenue Code. We're not endorsing it. It's just a check off that has to go through the process. The relationship is between the bond counsel and Albright College. And I just want to be clear, there's some misconception out there that we somehow endorsed it and we're spending tax dollars. That's just not true. It's wrong. And I just wanted to clarify that, Mr. Chairman, and that is all that I have.
Thank you very much. I'm going to just touch on a couple quick items. Number one, I want to recognize Michelle Ruano Weber, who's been part of MHDD for many, many years. She'll be retiring August the 25th, and that retirement's coming up. Want to acknowledge that. I'll be heading up Saturday evening to the CCAP annual conference. I'll report on that when we get back, but there are a lot of significant items on the agenda and some pretty significant speakers. I want to share one last item from NACO. The keynote speaker at NACO was a guy by the name of Chris Hadfield. He is Canadian, former fighter pilot, test pilot. His space milestones: he was the first Canadian to walk in space during a 2001 Space Shuttle Endeavour mission. He was the first Canadian commander of the International Space Station for 6 months in 2013. He flew on 3 separate space missions over a 21-year period. He did daily life in orbit on the space station and gained millions of followers on his social media. He's also a best-selling author, An Astronaut's Guide to Life on Earth, You Are Here, and The Darkest Dark. I'm actually reading one of his fiction books right now, The Apollo Murders. So far, it's pretty good. But what he's known for most is doing a cover, and I'm just going to play a little bit of it, of David Bowie's song, Space Oddity. And he did it, Bowie. You see, Bowie, I'm thinking Jim Bowie in the Alamo. I didn't watch David Bowie when I was growing up, but I was very aware of this song, and just want to quick share a segment of it. And this is what he did. Here we go again.
Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Lock your Soyuz hatch and put your helmet on. Ground control to Major Tom. Commencing countdown, engines on. Detach from station and may God's love be with you. This is ground control to Major Tom. You've really made the grade. And the papers want to know who's sure.
In interest of time, I'm not going to show the whole thing. If you just simply do Chris Hadfield Space Oddity, you'll get that video. It was shot entirely at the space station, and I think he's up over 11 million views on it. It's pretty incredible, and he was a very inspiring speaker. Glad to have him. Turn it over to Commissioner Rivera.
Thank you, Commissioner Leinbach. In the interest of time, I'm just going to briefly let everyone know we do not have an elections meeting today. I did say I was going to speak about one of our keynotes at NACO, but I will leave that till next week to be able to dedicate a little more time to that. But I do want to congratulate 38 naturalized Americans from 10 countries. Yesterday, I was at the naturalization ceremony that was held here in courtroom 5A. 38 new Americans from 10 different countries. So congratulations to them, their families, and for going through the process to become citizens. And that is all I have. I will do the rest of my comments next week. Thank you.
Any comments from our row officers?
I don't have anything at this time.
No further comment at this time. Thank you.
No public comment in person. We do have one public comment online. I will read that. Craig Schaefer, Cumru Township. I'm calling on all three commissioners to hold a public meeting to discuss our concerns regarding the county's voluntary collaboration with ICE. The Freedom of Information requests. It is shown that the people county officials handed over to ICE have been charged but not convicted of crimes. The information provided from the FOI requests list blank spaces under convictions. At the Exeter Library in April, Commissioner Leinbach stated his primary duty as a commissioner is to uphold the Constitution. The 14th Amendment to Due Process Clause provides that no state may deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. The act of handing over people to ICE directly contradicts your stated duty to protect the Constitution and robs the people affected of their constitutional right to due process. Furthermore, if these people are actually criminals, your act of handing them over to ICE to be deported illegally interrupts the judicial process and robs victims and their families of justice and enables a purported criminal to commit crimes again in another country without consequences, harming more victims. That is the end of our public comment.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Meeting is adjourned.